Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yes. Always exciting to jump into a new topic.
Absolutely. So today we're tackling something that I know a lot of you are really keen on, and that is how to really sound like a native English speaker.
Right.
We've all been there, right? Like you can write a perfect email,
Yeah.
but then you get into a conversation and suddenly you feel like you're back in English class.
Oh, totally. It's like all those textbook rules fly out the window.
Exactly. So to help us crack this code,
Mm-hmm.
we're diving into a podcast called Speak English Like a Native,
Okay.
hosted by Alex and Sophia.
Catchy title.
It is. And they've got some seriously good stuff in there. So
Huh.
what really intrigued me was their focus on the stuff that goes beyond grammar textbooks.
Right. Like those subtle things native speakers do without even thinking about it.
Yes, like contractions, for example.
Yeah, huge one.
It seems so simple.
Right.
But they really hammered home the point that saying I'm gonna instead of I am going to
Yeah.
makes a world of difference.
Huge difference. Makes you sound more relaxed, more natural.
Right, like you're not reading from a script.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about mirroring how we actually speak.
So it's not about being lazy or grammatically incorrect.
No, not at all.
It's actually about connecting with the listener on a more informal level.
Exactly. It creates a kind of shared rhythm,
Huh.
like a verbal handshake, if you will.
Oh, I like that. A verbal handshake.
Yeah.
But they were very clear that this is for casual speaking,
Right, of course.
not for formal writing or anything like that.
Definitely know your audience.
But even in those casual settings,
Mhm.
I was surprised by how much emphasis they put on the idea that using contractions actually makes you sound more confident,
Oh, for sure.
not sloppy.
Not at all. It shows that you're comfortable with the language.
Like compare saying, did you eat
Yeah.
versus did you eat?
Totally
So-
different vibe there.
It's like that second one has this effortless cool to it.
Absolutely. And that actually leads nicely into another key element they talked about. Idioms and phrasal verbs.
Oh, man.
Those are tricky,
Yeah.
but so essential.
I know, I struggle with those.
They can be tough, but they add so much color and personality to your English.
Like, what were some of their examples? They had some really good ones.
Oh, yeah, they did. Well, there was under the weather
Right.
when you're feeling sick. And break the ice for those awkward silences.
Okay, yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
And they explain how those are like little cultural shortcuts.
Exactly. They convey a shared understanding that goes beyond the literal meaning.
Which can be tough to learn from a textbook.
Oh, definitely. You got to hear them in action.
Right, but once you start using them,
Yeah.
you're signaling that you're in on the joke. You get the cultural reference.
It's like learning the secret handshake to the English language.
Love that analogy. And
Yeah.
speaking of building blocks of fluency,
Yes.
we can't forget about phrasal verbs either.
Oh, those tricky little things.
I know, one verb with like a million different meanings.
Seriously.
Like pick up, for example.
Pick up on, pick up after.
It can be so confusing.
It can be,
Uh,
but mastering them makes a huge difference.
okay, so we've got contractions,
Check.
idioms, and phrasal verbs.
Okay.
What else did Alex and Sophia highlight?
This was really interesting. They talked a lot about the melody of English.
Melody.
You know, like the intonation, the way our voices rise and fall.
Ah, okay, yeah.
It's amazing how much emotion we can convey just through our tone of voice.
Right.
Like they gave the example of, I can't believe it.
Okay.
Imagine saying that with genuine surprise.
I can't believe it. Like that.
Perfect. But now say it with disappointment.
I can't believe it.
See? Same words, totally different meaning.
Wow, yeah. It's like our voices are instruments playing a symphony of emotions.
Exactly. And that's what gives spoken English its richness, its dynamism.
Okay, so we're not just focusing on words anymore.
Nope.
It's the delivery, the whole package.
Absolutely.
So how do we actually learn to master that melody?
Well, Alex and Sophia had some great tips, which we'll definitely dive into.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
But first,
Yes.
we've got to tackle the elephant in the room,
Oh boy, here we go.
the TH sound.
The dreaded TH.
I know it can be a real tongue twister for non-native speakers.
It's like my tongue just doesn't want to cooperate.
I hear you. But Alex and Sophia broke it down in a really clear way.
Okay, go.
They explained the tongue placement, the airflow,
Right.
and they stressed that it's all about understanding the mechanics and then training your tongue to do it consistently.
Like practice, practice, practice.
Exactly.
So they had some specific exercises we could try.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Mhm.
They started with simple words like think this and through.
Okay, that makes sense. Start with the basics.
Exactly. Isolate the sound, get comfortable with it.
Right.
And then they moved on to a practice sentence.
So a sentence. Okay, what was it?
It was, I think this is a good idea.
Okay, that seems simple enough.
It is. But getting that TH sound crisp and clear can make a huge difference.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's all about the details.
And they encourage listeners to have fun with it, right? Oh, absolutely. Make silly faces in the mirror while you're practicing.
I love that.
Don't take yourself too seriously. It's all about finding what works for you.
So you're saying even making funny faces can help me sound more like a native English speaker?
Hey, whatever it takes, right?
Okay, I'm in. This is going to be fun.
I think so too, and I think that's a good place to pause for now.
Already, I feel like we're just getting started.
We are, but we've covered a lot of ground.
True. From those subtle shifts like contractions to the complexities of pronunciation.
We've got a lot more to unpack.
Okay, well, I'm ready for more. Bring it on.
All right, but first a quick break. We'll be right back with part 2 of our deep dive.
Stay tuned, everyone. Okay, so we're back and ready to dive even deeper.
Deeper we go.
Into the world of spoken English.
All right, so where were we?
Well, we were talking about all the amazing tips Alex and Sophia shared.
Right.
On sounding like a native speaker.
Absolutely. And we touched on those subtle things like contractions and idioms.
And phrasal verbs?
Yes, those are always fun. And we were just about to get to the melody of English.
Oh, yeah, the intonation.
Right. But before we go there,
I
wanted to pick up on something else that caught my attention. They had this really cool segment.
What was it?
They called it an interactive quiz.
Oh, a quiz. Fun.
Yeah. And it was all about using idioms and phrasal verbs in context.
Ah, I see. So not just memorizing the phrases?
Right. It was about understanding how to actually use them in real-life situations.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they'd give you a scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd have to guess the expression that fit best.
Sounds challenging.
It was, but also super helpful. Like, I really had to think about the nuances of each phrase.
Right, so give me an example. What was one of the scenarios?
Okay, so in one scenario, Alex described two people who were in complete agreement on a plan, and they were, like, totally aligned on how to move forward.
So not just agreeing, but really on the same wavelength.
Yes, exactly. And Sophia had to guess the expression.
Okay, so what did she say?
Well, I was thinking it might be something like on the same page.
Ah, you got it.
Did I?
Yep, that's exactly what she said.
Wow.
Right.
Casey, this is why I need this quiz. I'm not always great with those expressions.
But you're getting it. That's what matters.
I guess so. Okay, so they had on the same page.
Yeah.
Did they have any other examples?
Oh, yeah, they had tons.
What was another one?
Let me think. Okay, this one was tricky. It was for the scenario where someone accidentally reveals a secret.
Ooh, okay. I know that one.
Yeah.
Spill the beans, right?
Yes.
Got it. Yeah. I'm 2 for 2. Maybe I'm better at this than I thought.
You're doing great. See, this quiz is working already.
I think it is. Okay, so we've got spill the beans on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
What else did they cover?
Well, they actually wrap things up with something we've already talked about.
Really? What was that?
Pronunciation.
Oh, no. Not the TH sound again.
I know. But it's so important. Okay, I'm ready. Round 2. Bring it on.
All right. So this time they went even deeper into the mechanics of making that sound. Deeper? How is that even possible? My tongue is already tied in knots.
I know. But trust me, this is helpful.
Okay, I'm trusting you.
So they talk about how it should feel.
Feel?
Yeah, like the airflow. The placement of your tongue between your teeth.
Okay, that makes sense, I guess.
Right. It's not just about where you put your tongue, but how you use it.
Like it's a tiny muscle doing a very specific dance.
Exactly. And they really emphasize the importance of starting with those simple words.
Like think this through.
Exactly.
And then building up to that practice sentence.
Which was?
I think this is a good idea.
You got it.
But they had a new suggestion this time.
Oh, what was that?
They encouraged listeners to record themselves speaking.
Oh, that's a good one.
I know. Because sometimes you don't even realize how you sound.
Until you hear it back.
Exactly.
It could be a bit cringy, but it's so helpful.
It's like having your own personal pronunciation coach.
Right in your pocket.
Okay, so record ourselves. Got it. What else?
But they also had a really encouraging message about making mistakes.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
They said it's totally normal to stumble a bit.
Especially with a sound like TH.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even native speakers had to learn it at some point.
It's true.
And they even shared some funny stories.
Oh, I love when they do that.
About their own pronunciation struggles when learning other languages.
It makes them seem more human, you know?
Totally. And it helps to take the pressure off.
Like, it's okay to not be perfect.
Exactly. It's all about progress.
So what was their final takeaway about pronunciation?
Let me think. Oh, yeah, they said something like, embrace the journey.
Ooh, I like that. Embrace the journey.
It's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about constantly learning and growing.
Okay, that's a great message. I think we all need to hear that.
For sure. Especially when it comes to language learning.
Absolutely. So much pressure to sound perfect.
But really, it's about connecting with people
Right. Communicating your ideas.
and having fun along the way.
Exactly. And I think that's a perfect segue into our next topic.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The melody of English.
Finally. I've been waiting for this.
I know you have. You've been dropping hints all episode.
Well, it's just such a fascinating aspect of spoken English.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's do this.
All right, let's talk intonation.
Okay, so we've covered contractions, idioms, phrasal verbs, pronunciation, the melody of English. I feel like we've learned so much.
We have. Alex and Sophia really packed a lot into their podcast.
They did. But before we wrap up our deep dive, I'm curious. What was their final takeaway message? Did they leave listeners with any parting advice?
They did, and it was brilliant. They reminded us that knowledge is only powerful when you actually put it into practice.
It's like having all the ingredients for a delicious meal but never actually cooking it.
Exactly. What good are all these tips if we don't actually use them?
So how did they suggest we apply all these techniques?
Well, they encourage listeners to start small. Find opportunities to use these new skills in everyday conversations.
Okay, so not trying to become a Shakespearean actor overnight.
Right. Can be as simple as chatting with a friend, ordering a coffee, anything to get those muscles working.
Makes sense. Start with the small weights before you try to bench press a car.
Exactly. And they had a great point about making mistakes.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Don't be afraid to mess up.
Exactly. They actually emphasized that making mistakes is a natural and essential part of learning anything new.
Like, it's not a sign of failure, it's a sign of progress.
Right. Every time you stumble, you're actually getting closer to fluency.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. Embrace the stumbles.
Exactly. And they encouraged listeners to shift their focus
From
trying to sound perfect to simply communicating effectively.
Okay, so it's not about having a flawless accent.
No, not at all.
It's about getting your message across.
Exactly. Connect with people, share your ideas. That's what matters most.
Did they offer any other practical tips on incorporating these skills into daily life, beyond just conversations?
They did. They recommended weaving English into your routine in fun ways.
Okay, like what?
Things like listening to podcasts, watching movies, reading books.
Okay, those are all good ones. Oh, and even tried talking to yourself in English.
Really? Like narrate my life?
Why not? It's a great way to practice without any pressure.
I might feel a little silly doing that.
Who cares? No one's listening. And they also highlighted the importance of consistency.
Like making it a habit.
Exactly. Even dedicating a few minutes each day to practicing can make a huge difference over time.
It's like that saying, little drops of water make a mighty ocean.
I love that. And they had one final thought on mindset that I found really powerful.
Okay, I'm all ears.
They stressed that believing in yourself is crucial. Self-doubt can be a major obstacle, so it's important to silence that inner critic.
Yeah, that little voice can be so loud sometimes.
It can, but it doesn't have to control you. Focus on your progress, celebrate your achievements, and most importantly, believe that you can do this.
It's like having an inner cheerleader who's always rooting for you.
I love that analogy. And they ended by reminding us that learning a language is a gift.
A gift. Yes. It's a way to connect with new people and cultures, to expand your horizons, and to embrace the beauty of human connection.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's not just about grammar rules and sounding perfect.
Right. It's about so much more than that.
It's about opening yourself up to a whole new world of possibilities.
And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Wow, time flies when you're having fun with language.
It does. But I hope our listeners feel empowered to take their spoken English to the next level.
I do too. Remember, fluency is a journey, not a destination. Embrace the challenges, celebrate those small victories, and most importantly, have fun with it. Until next time, happy language learning.